PowerPoint presentation to the chairman because we were going to do a 3D talk on Saturday, part of the Stargazing Live sessions we did on Saturday. But it was so chaotic, he took it away with him and he's now on holiday, so my presentation's on holiday with him. So I thought, well, I'll go back, because we've been doing this for over 3 years. You might as well have one of the first talks we gave. And this was about Edmund Halley. Now, we've got 2 junior groups, and we do games and activities for them, and we've got a meeting coming up this Saturday, 10 o'clock till noon. So that's for 7 to 11-year-olds. We usually do a game for them, like this one is based on, a bit like Beetle. You have to cover up the circles, which are stars, in a constellation. The choice is, do you go for a small constellation and only score 4 points, like the constellation of Nibblus, the mouse? Or do we go for something big, like Milkus Major, the cat, and score 16 points? But then again, there's more stars to cover up. So these are the sort of activities we do with the children. We do them in little 8-minute sessions. We have them out there, we have a number of tables out there, and it's like astronomical speed dating. You give a little talk, they move on to the next table, have another little talk or a demonstration by a game, and so on. We've been doing this a number of years now. We started way back in 1990. And of course the games, we nick ideas from absolutely anywhere. You can probably guess where that one comes from. And again, you can guess where that one comes from. But this is all very well with computers and whatnot. But when we first started, it was done with cartoons and things, but none of us are very good at artists, so we had these rather primitive sketches. But this is a sort of 8-minute game they'd play, just a dice and a counter going round, and it tells the story of Edmund Halley. Obviously we start when he's born, and when he was just 8 years old, he saw his first great comet, and that coincided with the plague. A year later, he saw another great comet, and this coincided with the Great Fire of London. Of course, in those days, comets were associated with tragic events and omens of doom and things like this. And he eventually left Oxford University at 20 and set sail to St Helena, where he decided to catalogue the southern stars. He went to St Helena because that was the furthest south that was owned by the still under British rule. But the weather was abysmal. I think we know how he felt. We certainly don't have many clear Wednesdays, and he had to really work hard to get anything done. Eventually he came back and published his catalogue of the southern skies, which was 341 stars. Took him 18 months, and as I say, he could only snatch brief observing sessions. He next saw another great comet. I mean, these great comets we're talking about, we haven't seen a great comet in recent years. They stretch right across the sky. They're millions of miles long, the tail. We've had some pretty good comets, but no great comets for the last 100 years or so. And then he met Cassini. Cassini was the person who discovered the division in Saturn's rings, and that's known as Cassini's division. But he gave Halley the idea that comets may return. In 1682, he saw a dim comet, and this comet was to eventually bear his name. He met Newton here in Cambridge, and he encouraged him to publish his laws on gravity, and he even paid for it. So had it not been for Edmund Halley, we would have not had Isaac Newton's Principia, and Newton would have nowhere been as famous as he is now. Then in 1705, he predicts one comet will return in 1758. But unfortunately, he never lived to see it. And sure enough, the comet was seen on Christmas night, 1758. So I mean, that's just a little fun game we do with the children. Here's his copy of the catalogue containing the information on the 341 stars he did. Published in 1679. Also mentioned in 1705, he predicted a comet would return. Now, you've got some homework. This is the exact information that Halley had. You don't have to know what it stands for. These are just positions in the night sky. And you've got to find, in actual fact, there's 3 sets of numbers that are very close. Anybody spot them? I'll give you a minute. They're not exact, but they're very, very close. Anybody got any ideas? Of course, Halley took a bit longer than you did. You only got a minute or so. Nobody spot it yet? I'll put you out of this screen. Okay? And he sat there with this information in front of him, and lo and behold, there are the comets. It's the same comet returning time and time again. So this is how Halley's comet ended up getting his name. Of course, when it arrived here in its last apparition in 1976, there were 5 spacecraft sent towards it. 2 Japanese, 2 Russian, and a European one from the European Space Agency, Giotto. And this is the one that took one of the best pictures of a comet. You can see it's nothing more than a huge, dirty snowball with gas and dust being jetted out as it melts as this faces the sun. So that's one of the best pictures that were taken of the nucleus of the comet Halley. But Halley had lots of fingers in lots of other scientific pies. He invented this diving bell, which worked between 20 and 60 feet. Halley went down on one occasion, down in the Thames, to 60 feet with 5 other people, and he stayed down there for an hour and a half. And the air does get stale, so you casually let the stale air out the top, and then a lead-covered barrel is lowered down with more fresh air in that you just pipe into the chamber. Because as you would lower this down, the water level would rise, so you'd let some air in to push the water down. And it was okay, it worked. Did have its problems though. The lip would sometimes catch on something, and it would flip over with disastrous consequences for the divers inside. But he also had a second voyage. In 1701, for a year, he explored the Atlantic, and he found that the magnetic variations he plotted down in this chart, which was, the voyage was 1699 to 1700, and a year later he published this diagram of the variations in the magnetic field. Now, Halley had a new theory in 1691. He believed the Earth was hollow. And of course, after he came back from his voyage, second voyage, the magnetic variations only confirmed his suspicion. He believed that the Earth just had a crust, a shell 500 miles thick. Then there was another shell inside it as big as Venus, another shell inside it as big as Mars, and the final bit as big as Mercury. He believed it had atmospheres inside and was also illuminated. And where the gases came out of the Earth through fissures, we saw the aurora borealis. Now, Euler, in one of his thought experiments, now he didn't actually believe this, he often had these little ideas that he'd throw out to people to give them an idea, mull over that, see what you come up with this. But he suggested, well, if you had the sun in the middle and the Earth round it, and we lived on the inside. An amazing concept, but there again, if you wave an idea like this under somebody's nose, they're going to grasp at it. And this chap, John Symes, wouldn't let go of this hollow Earth theory. He believed there was a large opening 4,000 miles across in the northern hemisphere and 6,000 miles across in the southern hemisphere. And these holes were known as the Symes holes. Another chap found proof we had a hollow Earth. Marshall Gardner, in 1846, a frozen mammoth was found in perfect condition. Even inside it they found the undigested seeds of pine cones. That was how fresh it was. And he believed that mammoths were alive and well inside the Earth. And this one had strolled out of the hole, frozen to death, and was transported by ice flows to where it was discovered. So here was clear evidence we do have a hollow Earth. Now this bloke took it to extremes. Teed was, well, I think he was bonkers, but yeah, he thought that we had the sun in the middle, and we lived on the inside of the Earth. The sun was half dark and half light, thus giving you night and day. And the reason you couldn't see across to the other side was round this area, the atmosphere was so dense you couldn't see across. But he changed his name to Koresh, and he believed that he was the Messiah and started a new cult, a new religion. And he challenged a chap to prove that the Earth was in fact curved that way. Introduce you to Ulysses Morrow, a businessman, a US businessman, and he's set to work to make the rectilineator, which is these contraction here. There is one still left. And what you do, you butt them all together, and then you move them along. And you see if the ground is horizontal. So there were 4 of these. And then you move them along, but you turn them over. You must turn them over, just in case those 2 sides are not absolutely parallel. You've got to cancel out the errors. So you keep turning them over and carrying on. Hello, it's froze. It's going backwards. Help! You know? Has anybody good with computers? Why is it going backwards? Tell me, it will go backwards, it won't go forwards. No, it's not happy, is it?
Try going backwards.
Try going backwards. A very wise decision. No, I don't want to go backwards. Sorry?
Come out of it. Come out of it.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Let's try again. No, right. Let's see. No. Oh, well, how embarrassing. Sorry about this. Right, go back into it again, yeah? Pardon?
Go into it past where it's stuck.
All right. Ping, 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 ping. Right. I lost the arrow. No, it's not having it. Oh, poo. Which one? Sorry, not with you.
Just scroll down and then we can look at the small images. What was wrong?
Exit PowerPoint, Brian.
Huh?
Exit PowerPoint.
Exit PowerPoint. Failing this, I'll go home. Right, we'll try again, shall we? I'm not holding it now.
Just like to do things there on the notes.
Well, it's not having it, is it? Depressed. Oh, no.
Is your control key broken?
No, it's
Well,
what did it say?
Is it stuck
Do you
now?
want to start the PowerPoint? Shall I go yes? No. Right. Like it. No. I'm moving forward.
Yes.
Yeah. Surely there must be some chappie who's good with who's absolutely brilliant. Talks. Right, yeah. Go with that.
Hope so. Someone pays them a fortune for this. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's your...
Right there. Yay! Right. Gosh, sorry about that. I'm absolutely pathetic with computers. So, what did they find after they moved these 12-foot rectilineators 1,054 times, I think? They found that the Earth did curve upwards. And the inside diameter of the Earth was 40,000 kilometres. But there's a problem. Although they made these things as rigid as they could, they had cross bracing and wires stretching them, keeping them amazingly taut, they did sag by 3/millionths of a degree. But when you've done that 1,054 times, that 3/millionth of a degree adds up. So it does curve, but it's just the rectilineators curving and not the Earth. So he was wrong. Now we move on to Hitler, who was, well, not the sharpest pencil in the box, was he? No, he belonged to the Fuel Society. So did others like Rudolf Hess and many of the other prominent Nazis. And one of the teachings of the Fuel Society was that there were much reports about from Tibet where there was hollows going down to the centre of the Earth. And this was to go to the centre of the Earth where it was hollow. And there is reports that Hitler sent a U-boat to the Antarctic in 1944 to search for the hole there. I think the thinking was behind it, if the war went badly, he could go down with his henchmen and whatnot, down the hole and go and greet the aliens down in the core of the Earth. But it didn't happen like that. But did the idea of a hollow Earth die? No, because once spacecraft were invented, they started photographing things like aurora. Here's a lovely auroral display, and to the hollow Earth nut, that's evidence that coming out of the hole is the aurora. And the idea just wouldn't go away. I find it incredible. And here we have a voyage to the centre. Go and find the hollow. Right, join a Russian icebreaker. You carry on, coming along, start to search for the North Polar opening on day 9 and 11. And then once you've found it, you travel up the river to one of their cities. Note the asterisk. Right, yeah. Of course, these skeleton remains, of course, of animals from inside the Earth, but they're not. They're just prehistoric animals. And then you take a monorail trip to city of Eden and meet the king and the inner world. You have a wonderful time, and then you pop back up and then enjoy a quick trip back to Russia, and that's it. And the cost? But you notice it's cancelled. This is because the organiser died. And so they had to return all their deposits, because people are balmy enough to have paid this sort of money to go to the, look for the hole and go into the centre of the earth. And last, I first gave this talk about 3 years ago, and I left you with, because the chap had died, another person, Brooks Agnew, started to plan another expedition in 2009. And that's where I left it. And last night I thought, I wonder what happened to that expedition. So I looked up. It didn't take place. I couldn't find anywhere on the web any mention of the 2009 expedition. So at last, the hollow earth theory has gone away. How wrong was I? Here's the new, brand spanking new website, the NPIEE, North Pole Inner Earth Expedition, and even in their history they don't mention the 2009 expedition, so I reckon they didn't find enough people to sponsor it. They're all the while looking for visionary sponsors, people with lots of money, and the expedition is set to take place this year because the Russian trawler icebreakers are going to be decommissioned later this year. So this is the last chance, this is their last ditch attempt to go and find the hole in the North Pole. And they've got an itinerary. Presumably, if you're enough of a visionary sponsor and you give them lots of money, you can go along as well. Where have we got to? Right, go to Moscow, get on their icebreaker, and we come down, and where do we get to? Here we go, day 6, begin breaking the ice. There's lots of pseudo-science in this. Calibrate the gyroscope for the Earth curvature measurement. And this is day 6, you begin human consciousness classes and measurements. What the heck is that? You carry on with your human consciousness classes. And we carry on right down, and you eventually continue mapping the depression and verifying the circular shape of the depression. But nowhere on their itinerary do we have them going into the hole. They sort of make contact with it, with this human consciousness thing. I don't know what it means, I haven't a clue, but apparently it sort of manifests itself to you, this hole. Barking man. That's it. Right. So, thank you very much. Sorry about the computer problem, but yeah, that is that's my voice. But the hollow earth theory is still there, and it's not for dying. If I give this talk in 3 years' time, I expect there will still be plenty of people. It makes you wonder. There is a lot of colouring people.